The legendary Specter battles to the death with the world's biggest threat to date, the Frost Queen. Enabled by his allies staying behind, Specter succeeds and saves the world, absorbing the power of the Frost Queen. Unfortunately, her defeat also triggers a duration of forced hibernation as his body absorbs her nucleus. A flashback reveals that 76 hours prior, Specter and his party arrived at a doorway in Antarctica, where only one person could enter to fight the Frost Queen. After a short discussion, it was decided that Specter had the best chance against the Frost Queen. The others seemed resigned to their deaths, but they trusted him to be able to kill the Frost Queen as they said their goodbyes. 25 years later, in the year 2024, a presentation is being given on the Frost Queen, who was so strong she froze the Pacific Ocean with a wave of her hand. The presenter stands in front of 5 frozen people that she reveals to be the Nest Attack Team, the group that defeated the Frost Queen, known as the 5 Heroes. Amazingly, one of the frozen players, Specter, begins to move and breaks free of the ice after reaching a 100% absorption rate and completely absorbs the Frost Queen's nucleus, gaining a new skill called Frost X in the process. After waking from his 25-year slumber, Specter looks over the news of his awakening while in a hospital bed, feeling weak from having been frozen for so long. While he comes to terms with being awake again, the president of the Player Association, who claims to be a close friend, is on the way to meet him. While he waits, Specter notices how peaceful the world looks, realizing that he and his friends have at last achieved their dream. When he takes off his mask, ready to cast his identity as a hero aside, one of the doctors reacts in shock. The Player Association's president, Doc Gu, then enters the room and they exchange greetings. He then explains that after Specter and his party killed the Frost Queen, every other player in the world received the exact same message. It congratulated them all on the Frost Queen's defeat and announced the appearance of safe zones on Earth. While the initial news was cause for joy, it was short-lived as another message appeared. It stated that a dimensional elevator appeared in the Pacific Ocean, granting access to the second floor and the frontier area. After an international gathering of players, politicians, and the association, an expedition squad was sent into the frontier. While the second floor granted new magic, technology, resources, and knowledge to humanity, it was revealed to be only the second of 10 floors. When Specter hears the news, taking into account how unnaturally strong his party was, he initially thinks players might be up to about the 5th floor. Unfortunately, after 25 years, players have only cleared up to the 2nd floor, but for a good reason. The Frost Queen's nucleus that Specter absorbed is needed to cool down the volcanic 3rd floor so that players can explore it. Nobody knows that Specter absorbed the nucleus, and he tries to figure out when and how to let the association president know. After they part ways, Specter heads out the side entrance to visit the Soul History Museum, where the rest of his party is displayed, still frozen like statues. He gives a toast in their honor, believing them to be dead, and goes to dust off one of his friends before he gets a message. He can remove the seal on the ice with his Frost X skill, but he needs a higher magic stat to do so. Opening his status window to check his stats and skills, Specter sees that his original abilities are drastically reduced, but they will be restored as he levels up and as time passes. Fortunately, Specter also has an ability from killing the Frost Queen that will raise all of his stats by 30 every time he goes up a floor on the dimensional elevator. Using this effect, he can return to his original state and get even stronger than before, which would allow him to save all of his friends. Specter reveals that he wants to be a player again to the association president, who tries to convince him otherwise and warns him of the Fiends, players who commit murder and terrorism, only following their own desires. Since the 2nd floor has no cameras and countries can't contain them, more of them are present than ever, and Specter was known for targeting Fiends in the past, so the association president believes he'll become a huge target if he returns to being a player. Still, Specter remains adamant about becoming a player again, and using his real name as Sojun-ho instead of his Specter alias so that he does not become a target. He tells the association president that he accidentally absorbed the Frost Queen's nucleus as well. He can be given a new player license by the association president, but he'll have to take the public exam that the guilds watch first. If he wants the best support possible in starting again from level 1, Jun-ho will need to get the best results on the test. Jun-ho waits in the lobby of the license exam and watches other examinees taking their test through an overhead monitor, even using an enhanced hearing skill to eavesdrop on random conversations around him. In the observation room, the watchers from the guilds comment on how no one was even able to meet the basic requirements so far, and they see Jun-ho enter with every weapon available for the test. They see his skinny figure and believe him to be just a Specter copycat before he annihilates all the monsters in the test, making sure to skillfully use each weapon in the process. While his skills impress the watchers, they all pass on trying to recruit him because he only has a single D-rank skill, weapon proficiency. and they deem him not to be worth the investment over time. Fortunately, it's the exact result Junho was aiming for. He passed the exam, and it'll be easy for the association to recruit him instead of the guilds. After the test, Junho reads a novel on the couch and snacks on junk food while the association president holds in his judgment and sits across from him. He questions why he wanted information on uncleared gates, which are portals filled with monsters and traps that attack humans, deemed too difficult to defeat. The association president argues that targeting low-level gates is a bad idea because high-level players can't enter, and any novices drawn in by the high rewards all end up dead. Junho still remains adamant on clearing the uncleared gates because the rewards increase as time passes, and with the gates having been uncleared for so long, they will boost his experience points a ton and help him rapidly level. Finally, the association president relents and brings up information on the only gate Junho can enter at his level. 142 people have failed to clear it, giving it the nickname of the Novice's Grave because only level 1 players can enter. They pause their gate conversation as Junho's down payment comes in. The two of them decide that it would be best for Junho to stay in the association's residential buildings, and the association president gifts Junho his armor, a light and durable set made by Kwan Noya, a well-known blacksmith. Though Junho knew Kwan Noya and wants to meet him again, he can't because the Fiends keep an eye on the blacksmith due to his well-known friendship with Specter. Junho then enters the Curse of Dawn gate after 10 days of stamina training. The interior of the gate is a massive flat plain with dead trees and gravestones. The sun is just setting, leaving Junho with time before the monsters appear. With the research he did beforehand, and the goal being just to survive until the sun rises, Junho found that those who entered early in the morning survived the longest, and time within the gate is different. Then, in the peak of the night, zombies claw their way out of the ground and attack, giving Junho a long drawn-out fight until they're all eliminated, leaving him exhausted. As if that wasn't enough, a voice speaks to him from somewhere nearby, drawing him over to a coffin and asking to be let out because his friends left them there. Knowing what the voice is, Junho tricks it into yelling out so he can find its location, and unloads his gun straight into the coffin where he hears the voice, drawing out the tricker monster that was the true cause of over 100 people dying. While other players might have known that there couldn't be others within, since the gate won't open after they enter, they likely acted without thinking and died that way. With the tricker dead, the gate is cleared and Junho goes from level 1 to level 5, also bringing his stats up to between 25 and 35. Other than the experience, Junho receives a new skill as well, Confession of the Dead, that allows him to see the memories of someone dead. The news the next day is filled with reports on the clearing of the gate, giving the association president a good laugh at the guild's expense. Junho wants to rile up the guilds even more and become a rare luxury item. Since they'll eventually figure out he's clearing uncleared gates, he doesn't deem it necessary to reveal himself and believes it's better to be revealed naturally through his actions. We later see Junho in an intense workout session, collapsing from exhaustion as he receives a point in strength. Taking a break from the workout, Junho looks over the information for the next gate, Loof's Garden, a 9-year-old gate that is the oldest in Korea. Since a gate left uncleared for too long starts to let monsters out, the government and association offer a massive reward for clearing the gate. People from all over the nation tried to clear it, but none succeeded after 142 tries, prompting Korea to spend a small fortune on hiring a super rookie from India, Tashar Vishi, to clear the gate. Tashar, a genius with a bow with the potential of becoming one of the greatest bow users in history, failed and died within the gate, ending almost any hope of clearing it. He believes the gate will take much more preparation and raised all of his stats above 30 for the purpose of clearing it, though Tashar's death has him worried that there might be a hidden threat. It's also revealed that he can use his frost skill as well. With the clear condition to defeat all monsters, Junho looks around the area and sees a strange maze that he decides to leave alone for the moment as he waits for night, when the Loof monsters come out. After using frost to coat his weapon in ice to wipe out 2 of the Loofs, an entire wave of them comes out and attacks, with a wave twice as large attacking him after that. As it turns out, the Loofs multiply when killed. After fighting all through the night, Junho defeats all of the monsters and clears the gate, but he's confused as to why so many failed it before him. Tashar alone could have cleared half of the monsters, so a party of 4 shouldn't have had much difficulty. The gate is clear, so Junho takes his time exploring the maze he saw before, and finds Tashar's corpse at the end of it, still holding the legendary bow Tempest. Tashar's corpse also has his journal, and reading through it reveals a tale of Tashar's hopes in clearing the gate, his moments with his partner, and brief interactions with his other 2 party members as well. Tashar and his party fight for 2 nights against the monsters in the gate, with his close friend dying on the first night, and his partner passing on the second. As Tashar's wondering what the point of living without his partner is, his last party member attacks him from behind, revealing himself to be a fiend and wounding Tashar with his poison dagger. While the fiend thinks he's already won, another wave of monsters unexpectedly attacks and distracts the assassin while Tashar runs into the maze again, where he eventually writes the last bit of his journal and dies to the poison. Thanks to the journal, Junho figures out that the number of enemies scale based on the number of players, which is why it seems so easy to him. Junho stores the journal and borrows the bow, promising to take revenge on the fiends. Not long after, the association president celebrates as everyone figures out Junho is the newbie clearing the gates, and he receives a ton of attention. The Indian government also thanks Junho for returning the journal to them. The association president thinks it's a bit sad that they didn't recover Tempest, but Junho surprises him by taking it out from his inventory. While the association president freaks out because the bow belongs to India, Junho just promises that he's borrowing it for a bit, and he'll be careful when he uses it. He then reveals his real reason for keeping the bow. He believes the fiend in the gate was just working for another fiend that was after the bow, and will realize that he has it in his possession. The association president shows the most likely suspect, the fiend known as Demon Bow Calciner, who's famous for his bow collection. Since he was above the level limit for the Loof's garden gate, he likely sent in another fiend to kill Tashar and collect the bow for him. Junho believes that the fiend will send other fiends to ambush him at the next gate, in order to try to get the bow. The association president expresses his worry for Junho's safety, and receives a message that the press wants to talk to Junho. Instead of sending them away, Junho tells him to set up a press conference. He plans to reveal which gate he's clearing next, and properly set up a situation to lure in the fiends. We hope you enjoyed the story so far. Check out the Frozen Player Returns to find out what happens next in Junho's adventure.